Have you ever wanted to become a chef worthy of even surpassing the great Ratatouille, and possibly not become another body for the void to claim? If yes, then today's manhwa is just for you. So without further delay, let's begin our recap. A reckless man is yelling at her daughter, disowning her, saying that she is no longer his daughter. The daughter cries, asking her father how can he do something like this to her. Furthermore, the man, laying in his bed, munching on chips, analyzing the story, knew that something like this was bound to happen. The girl disowned by her father is Adelheid, Countess of Seaton. She has light blue hair, dressed in a beautiful blue gown, with an evil grin on her face. She is always spreading dirty rumors about the heroine Sabrina. She is known to be an evil woman who has committed a lot of evil deeds, including openly humiliating Sabrina on the dance floor by pouring a glass of red wine on her face. Moreover, if you look at the situation closely, the female lead's parents and her fiancé's parents are opposite to her family. But she deserved it, and even if they disagreed, she still deserved it, according to the reader. Moreover, the Count, concerned that the punishment for Adelaide's crime would be extended to his family, cruelly expelled his daughter from the family. She is on the ground, devastated by her father's decision, as her evil soul ends up dying of hunger, begging on the streets. It seemed like a very interesting cue. Moreover, the reader is now off to sleep, as he has plenty of time to read, so he will sleep and wake up to read. As tomorrow is the only day he can rest from the store during the week, he falls asleep. He was so happy about the sleep he got, as he hoped this moment lasted forever. Moreover, the reader suddenly came to a realization that what is going on right now is that the Countess Adelheid's father is sternly telling his daughter that she is no longer his daughter, and that she shall get out of the house. Adelheid, at her, continues to insult her, telling her that she is a shame to their family. Moreover, his father asked her if she still has no idea about what is happening, as she yells and pulls her hair, saying, "No, no, no, thinking to herself that when did she become an evil woman? Moreover, the Count asks the guards to escort the Countess out of the house, and that is when Adelheid, Countess, realizes that she is about to be brutally defeated by the protagonist couple and get expelled from the house. The guards are dragging her away, out of the house, as she begs them to leave her alone. When something like this happens, Adelheid asks the guards to wait, as she thinks that shouldn't they give her an opportunity to change her destiny by possessing her body before they expel her. Then she is devastated, thinking how can she do something like this to herself? Moreover, the reader was the owner and chef of a Korean food restaurant, but he always thought to himself that why did he choose Korean food, as it is a cuisine that requires a lot of work. He thought it was the perfect field for him because he had so many things he is good at, as he had so many medals, trophies, and certificates. A Korean fusion restaurant where one can cook a variety of dishes to his taste. He was busy with so many people asking him if it was the right choice. And that was until he suddenly possessed this body, and they took him out on the street with no time to adapt. Moreover, as Adelheid is devastated with tears in her eyes, she thinks to herself that even if she was kicked out of the house for something she did before being possessed, how can she find a way to make a living now? Hence, fortunately, the level of culture in this world is not much different from where she was. There she decides to go for cooking, as it is the method she chooses to survive by possessing a villain, and baking seemed to be her next resort, as she baked cookies with stars on them. Hence it is known as street art food, and the man helping it cuts the corners and turns it into stars, and was very proud to do so. Hence he advises her that it looks like a great job. One knows it by just looking at it, but Heidi believes it is very hard for her, but she cracks a deal that she will give him a lot if she brings more people, as she needed a place to start. Hence she sells each piece of her cookie for only 50 pence a piece, and if anyone divides it in the shape of a star, they will get one more. And the crowds absolutely loved the cookies, as they keep asking Heidi for more. It was fortunate that baking soda and baking powder had already been invented in this world, as right now, she is barely surviving day by day, paying the hotel rent through Dalgona business. Hence, she realizes that if she works hard and saves money, she can soon open a restaurant. Moreover, at night as she is traveling in her carriage, her ladle falls off, so she stops and puts the ladle back, as she cannot afford to damage her important business base. Moreover, her profit from today was pretty ideal, and she was optimistic that if things continue to be like this, she guessed that she will be able to start saving money soon. As she looked at the sack of coins, at first it was a little confusing for her, but then she managed to adapt it. Moreover, as she looks through her jewels, she decides to sell them, as it seemed like an excellent idea for the first month of business. Now her possessions are not as important as they were. Moreover, then she suddenly thinks that she has forgotten something as 3 men show up in front of her, telling her that their master told them to bring her. She was suddenly surprised that now she is the walking candy merchant. The man instructs her that if she keeps going due to his instructions, she will have no problem. They threaten her to leave, therefore she understands them and leaves because it is important for her business. And then she thought to herself that who the hell is them? And there was a possibility she thought to herself that they might know her. But since she was expelled from the Count's mansion, and they broke off her engagement party, there is no reason for them to come look for her like this. She was driven into deeper thoughts that they don't know who she is, and they only see her as a traveling candy merchant. She still does not understand what could be the reason behind this. Hence, she comes to the conclusion that she won't know until she meets the boss. She can only hope that it is not a big problem. Moreover, she was at the destination. It is a very dark house. It was dark everywhere when she appears in front of a man asking him what he wants. The man says, "The Honorable Earl of Adelheid Seaton." Heidi was shocked as the man knew about her past, so she asks him if he investigated her past. The man replies that it was not that difficult to discover it. Moreover, Heidi replied that she was not planning or had the intention to hide it. Even the name she is currently using is Adelheid. It is a nickname for Heidi, so she asks what is the matter he has with her. Therefore, she tells the man in advance that the Count will not spend a single cent on her. But the man clarifies that not the reason why they brought her. However, at first Heidi could not recognize the person due to the dark, but now she could. See him. He had a handsome face, black hair, and golden eyes that shine in a disturbing way. Thus it was Kylos Oberon. She finally recognized him. He is the second prince of the Empire, the final villain of this novel. As soon as Heidi recognizes him, she starts trembling and sweating with fear. When Kyle asks her why was she so scared of him, hence the man was surprised that he did not know her, but she recognized him. Hence, she tells him that he is so famous that how could she not recognize him? He is so handsome, and the villain of this novel. Moreover, now as Heidi knows who he is, he does not need to explain more. According to the book, he has a cold atmosphere around him, but his smile is very refreshing. It can be because he is handsome. Well, he jumps to the reason why he invited her here. He wanted her to be his personal chef. This instantly makes her happy, and she starts blushing. She could not believe that he wanted to hire her as his personal chef. She tells him that she is a simple dalgona seller. Why is the prince himself looking for a cook? Moreover, she asks why he is so interested in getting her as a chef, because everything she cooks and knows how to make is dalgona. The prince is surprised as he hears the word dalgona, and asks her if she calls that food. Therefore, he adds that if it has a name, it must be food that already existed. Moreover, Prince Kyle asks her why she is so sharp on something he might overlook. So she replies that it is the name she gave it, the most mysterious and unique candy in the world, Idalgona. Then the prince goes into deep thinking when Heidi thinks to herself that it seemed like she is constantly making mistakes because of her nervousness. And just when she met an important person for the first time, the only positive thing at the moment was that she is not on Kylos' bad side. The male lead of this play is the Crown Prince, who has only one younger brother. Kylos is the third highest rank in the Empire. His misfortune begins when the Emperor becomes sick with an incurable disease and dies. The Crown Prince is only kind to the woman he loves, but he is a tireless tyrant towards others. Moreover, as soon as he accepted the throne, he framed his younger brother and expelled him from the Empire. But it seemed like it was merciful of him for not killing him for being the same. Everyone thought that the younger brother had fallen and disappeared, but Kylos became completely dark and committed all kinds of evils when he returned to the Empire. He started by killing the female protagonist's assistant, and the younger brother investigates every detail surrounding the main characters. Therefore, he was the youngest swordmaster of the Empire with that cruelty, so the most sensible thing for Heidi could do was to hide. Moreover, Prince Kylos asks Heidi that she mentioned earlier that she developed the recipe of the dalgona herself, so he asks her to show him how she made it. Heidi instantly got confused. Therefore, Prince Kylos takes her to the kitchen. As she walks around the kitchen, she is utterly amazed to see such a spacious kitchen, since it has been a long time since she saw a kitchen like this one. Seeing this kitchen reminded her of being in the Imperial Palace. However, she thought this place was bigger than the kitchen of the hotel she worked in before. Moreover, the prince is staring at her as she is getting her delights ready. Therefore, she alerts him that the method of making the dalgona is a trade secret, and if someone is watching, it becomes difficult for her to prepare it. Prince Kylos was confused about why it is a secret, so she explains to him that once the recipe is revealed, anyone can make it, and she cannot afford for that to happen, since her livelihood depends on it. Hence, she proposes a deal that if he wants to know the recipe for dalgona, he will have to pay her. So Prince Kylos tells her that he has no interest in her recipe, and even if he knew a lot about cooking, it would be impossible for him to disclose anything. Hence, the real reason why he was keeping an eye on her in the kitchen was just in case she poisoned the food. This statement shocked Heidi. She was enraged as she would never do that to her food. So Prince clarifies that it is not that he does not trust Heidi, but he just does not trust anyone, so it is understandable for him to be paranoid about this. However, he still agrees to pay for the recipe if she really wants it. Hence, Prince Kylos asked her the price for the recipe, which completely came as a shock to Heidi as her eyes wide open, and it seemed like she is in a state of uncertainty. Heidi thinks to herself that maybe she can demand a blank check, but it seemed too greedy, and if she makes more mistakes, Prince Kylos might cut off her head. And therefore, she had made many mistakes before, so this time she should be more careful. And still, for the honor of the royal family, she could ask for 1 year's living expenses. Hence, her final price was 1 million penta. Thus, the prince offers to give her 10 times more. This instantly brings a huge smile on Heidi's face as she will be getting 10 million pentas now. Moreover, now she excitedly asks Prince Kylos about how many dalgona does he need. So the prince replies, 2 are enough. Heidi gets extremely excited and gets to work, and tells him that he is about to have the best dalgona of his life. She required a tablespoon, wooden sticks, sugar, sodium bicarbonate, and something to press and star-shaped cookie cutter. However, if she had known earlier that this was going to happen, she would have brought some tools from the beginning. But it was understandable that no one could have predicted that she would be making dalgona in the kitchen of the imperial palace. Moreover, the prince asks him if that is all the ingredients she needs for now, and it seemed like a very awkward interaction for Heidi as her face seemed nervous. But she tells him that she has all she needs. Furthermore, Heidi thought that this would have been much more complicated, and whether she should add nutmeg and cinnamon, as it seems that here, the nobility believes that the virtue of food is in the proportion of the spices it contains. So the prince tells her that she might be partially right. However, Heidi tells him that if he had ever tried a dalgona, he would have known that it is simply pure sugar. Moreover, Heidi came to a realization that it seemed like Prince did not know anything about dalgona. So she was confused that how did he know about her and bring her here, so she asks him about what his goal is. But if she closely analyzes the situation, in any case, she is the one who benefits. It's because she's about to make 10 million pentas for her dalgona. As she is making the dalgona, her eyes are bright, and she tells him that even if it cools down in its current state, it will still be delicious. She pours the dalgona batter into the tray and uses the star-shaped cutter, and her work there was done. Dalgonas were prepared. The prince picks up the dalgona and cuts it into half, which angers Heidi as she put a lot of effort into making it in a star shape. And does he eat it? This was a cushy time for Heidi, as she had so many questions about what will the prince say, and what will his thoughts be after having the dalgona. As the prince took a bite, the first thing that came out of his mouth was that the dalgona is not poisoned. This angered Heidi, as she literally made the entire dalgona in front of him, and used all the ingredients and tools that were available, so there was no way for the prince to be paranoid about this anymore. So Prince Kylos clarifies again that he is not suspecting Heidi, but it's just that he has a lot of enemies. But Heidi was still irritated, because she wondered what the prince meant by no poison after she served him her masterpiece, so she asked him if that is all he had to say. The prince discloses that the person she made these dalgona for was not himself. Then they took the dalgona, and Prince is leading her way, taking her to someone who the dalgona were actually for, which became more and more ostentatious for her. So she asks him about where is he taking her. They stop by a door protected by the guards. Therefore he asks the guards to open the door. The guard refuses to open the door as he informs that the king is resting at the moment. So she tells the guard that he brought dalgona for the king, and the prince has also done the poison test, but the guard tells him that he is ordered not to let anyone disturb him. This angers the prince as he orders the guards to open the doors, and he will certainly not repeat himself. Therefore, at the end, the guards let him through. There he was, the emperor. The emperor asks the prince about why was he here. As Heidi looked at the emperor, she thought to herself that why is he so thin, and does he have the incurable disease already? However, the prince offers him the dalgona. As the emperor picks up the dalgona, he starts yelling at the prince, and it was confusing that how did a dalgona create such an emotional atmosphere? The emperor crunches the dalgona, and suddenly something happens to him as he looks at the dalgona. Tears start falling from his eyes. Moreover, the dalgonas were exactly how the emperor's wife, the empress, Selene, made them, hence, that is why tears poured out of his eyes. The sudden mention of Selene meant that she cooked well. So Prince Kylos informs the emperor that no special ingredient was needed for this, so he can eat it anytime he wants. The emperor was completely thankful for the dalgonas, and he asks who made the dalgonas. So Prince Kylos informs that emperor, pointing towards Heidi, that she is his chef, and it turns out that is where the sweets that she prepared and sold on the streets. And this is a snack that she invented herself. The emperor also added that his wife Selene also said that it was a cookie, that she had invented this game as a shock to Heidi, thinking that Empress Selene made the same thing and said the same thing about it. However, the Dagon reminded the emperor of the old times, so he asks what the chef's name was. Prince Carlos informs him that she is the daughter of the count. Adele Hyde Seaton is her father, but the emperor told them that the nobles will not stay still after hearing that Count's daughter became the prince's chef. Moreover, Emperor asks Kylos if Earl of Seaton knew his daughter is his chef, so Prince Kylos tells him no, he doesn't. But if this continues like this, he will have to approach the count again. But Heidi, who was disowned by his father, gets worried and tells him that now he is not the count's daughter. She is banned from the family. However, it seemed like the emperor's problem is solved, since Heidi is not a family member of the count, so now she cannot use the Satan surname. So her name now is Adele Hyde, so she corrects the emperor that now her name is Heidi. She does not want to use Adele Hyde's name because she had a tragic ending. However, the emperor proposes that he wants to taste more of Heidi's dishes. But his butler refuses, as he thinks that Heidi is an unqualified chef, but the emperor disagrees and says that someone who has woken up his appetite after a long time is called fine enough to do it. Hence the emperor asks Heidi if she is ready to do him this favor, which shocks Heidi with happiness, but she was still clueless about how these things work. The empire is the most powerful man in the country, hence, now that she is the prince's chef, she is bound to have a good earning. And therefore, she hasn't been able to cook her own food in a very long time. Besides the dalgona, so she takes up the job. Thus, she was known to be the best chef, as she was a chef who was in charge of the emperor's food. Therefore, she seemed extremely happy. And now her dream to have a restaurant was coming true. She thought it would be good to open a restaurant. And if they advertise popular menu, it will be a success with that title. However, as Heidi was cooking, she was thinking about all of this and looked really excited when the prince asked her why she was so excited. However, Prince Kylos tells her that now is not the time for her to be so excited, because if other nobles learn about their situation, everyone will be anxious to come to her. So he explains her that his father did not want to eat anything for the last month. They had a very troubled journey, but now the only thing he wants to eat is made by her. Hence this was a bigger problem than she thought, because now she will surely get more attention than she wants. Hence Prince asks her what she is cooking, and it better not be a dalgona, so she tells him that she is cooking a dish because dalgona is just a dessert. Heidi understands that if a person does not eat for a month, they will feel very weak. So right now, what the emperor needs is a light and healthy meal. That Prince Kylos leaves to her. She had already chosen which she wanted to cook as before. She could not cook for a long time because of the restrictions on the ingredients. So right now she wants to be greedy, but also at the same time she has to be careful, because this is a person who has not eaten well. She tells the prince that emperor's diseases are due to anorexia, as he said there was nothing he wanted to eat, so it seemed he drank chicken soup when he was sick, which is a very regrettable meal to give to a person who has not been able to eat anything. Since she is a chef who cooks Korean food, so she almost never serves chicken soup, hence her dish was ready to be served to the king. Prince was surprised to see it, as it was a homemade soup. As the emperor was taking a bite, he realized that it was more normal than he thought. They both stood there trying to determine if the emperor likes his meal or not. As the emperor takes a bite, he was shocked and asks, how does Selene do it? As it was a creamy soup, there was something different to the soup that makes it delicious, and the texture was also to the emperor's liking. So he asked Heidi, what soup was this? So she tells him that it is the tascast porridge. It had a little cream and rice. It is like if it was a creamy soup, but softer, so this delicious flavor was like that. However, the power of porridge is that it helps to digest and control the stomach, so one portion is enough, so she boiled it and cut it until it was not noticeable, and she just wanted it to be nice. The emperor believed that it is an unknown flavor, but it is the best, and also with this kind of sincerity. It was a long time for him since he felt this way about a meal. Prince Kylos looked at Heidi with consideration. As his father loved her meals, the butler also started crying because the emperor finished his full plate, and now his body wanted to eat more. And Heidi adds that she believes that the emperor looks so much younger, and she acts that, once again, she wants the emperor to invite her to cook for him. The emperor was very impressed with Heidi. He thought she was brave, but his butler seems jealous or angry. Moreover, Emperor asks Prince Kylos to take care of Heidi because she must have been suffered a lot from what happened to the count, but she has grown up very quickly, and from now onwards he will always expect delicious food, to which Heidi agrees. At first, Kylos offers a place to Heidi for staying, then she thanks him, but her belongings are in her hostel. So he tells her that he will send someone to collect her belongings. Thus she is pretty good for being a seller in the street. Before she was very famous in flower society, she is more famous than Prince Kylos thought, so he was surprised, especially how she ended up selling food on the street. Hence the guards walks and tells Prince Kylos something. Turns out Earl Seaton had arrived at the palace. Moreover, Heidi wakes up early in the morning, all happy and energized, as she marches back to the kitchen for cooking. So Prince Kylos asks her about what she is cooking. Therefore, she tells him that his money is not going to leak so easily, and he continues to add that this is enough for his father to feed in a month. However, Heidi thought about last time, and she came to a realization that the relationship between the father and son is very special. Moreover, the prince asks Heidi what she is doing, so she tells him that she is putting medical herbs in the emperor's food. Furthermore, he asks her if she saw there was ginseng in the ingredients, and whether she placed it in the food or not. So Heidi tells him that she did. She believed it is a bit unusual, but ginseng is good for health. The prince was glad that Heidi was thinking about his father's health, but his father has rejected all types of medicine. So he asked her what she is going to do if what she made is going to be thrown out, just because his father does not like what she put in it. So Heidi asked, why is he going to throw it away? As she added that if he does not eat it, she will eat it herself since what she made is very delicious. She asks him if he knows how delicious it is, and she added that it is an old saying that food is the best medicine, and therefore the food she is preparing right now combines very well with that saying. She added chicken feet, onions, leek, onions, ginseng, and therefore while all of that boiled, she will be preparing the main ingredients. The product she is making also a chicken broth, and now she is adding the glutinous rice and chestnuts in pre-cooked fresh chicken. She adds everything into the broth and cooks it again, and her meal was ready, and she serves it to the emperor, telling him that she prepared him a soup with chicken, and the meat was also soft, so he can shred it with a fork and try dipping it in a sauce made with salt and pepper. The emperor was having a feeling of euphoria, and he wanted to eat his dish. He was impressed to see that the cooked rice were coming out when he was cutting the chicken. Moreover, she asks the emperor to eat it with a spoon. However, the emperor realized that there was a mild flavor of medicinal herbs, but it was not uncomfortable for him, which was a huge alteration in his eating habits, and it was also a way to get rid of fats. The meat was so soft that it was melting in the emperor's mouth. However, the emperor adds that if he cuts the meat, he would get something which left everyone uncertain, but he urged that whenever he would cut the chicken, he would find shiny chestnuts and greens of rice. The emperor was once again shook, and in all of the meals cooked by Heidi, as it was unbelievable that she thought of cooking rice this way. Hence, it was definitely different from regular rice, so he was confused about what it tasted like. So the emperor asks if she said that this was chicken soup. Heidi tells him yes, it is chicken soup, but with some modifications. The recipe is no different from chicken soup, but she was confused why the emperor asked this question, and whether he liked the meal or not. So the emperor adds that it is absurd, and that from now onwards he will call it royal chicken soup, as it is loved by the emperor. It turns out that he added royal to the name of the chicken. Being named Joy is a tremendous honor, so Heidi thanks Her Majesty. However, after hitting the owner, she thanks Her Majesty, him, that it is not a big thing. Such wonderful food could never be just called normal chicken soup. Moreover, the emperor gives the permanent position of his exclusive imperial chef to Heidi. This offer completely flattered Heidi, and she agrees to the offer, but the butler seemed bothered by it as he says that nobles will not recognize her, and the chefs of the palace will protest. However, the emperor was certain that everyone will rebel, so he asks the butler to host a banquet for her. Moreover, the emperor, as that he is going to make a banquet with excellent dishes as the main dish, will be officially announced. Anyone who eats these dishes will have no choice but to recognize it. Hence, the prince asks Heidi if she is sure about her going to be able to organize the banquet. Moreover, the prince exclaims that they cannot let Heidi take charge of everything, so she takes her with him and tells him that the purpose of this banquet is to announce that His Majesty has recovered his strength, and therefore no one will care what she does. And therefore that means that the cooking is disappointing, and no one will care. Moreover, Heidi tell him that she understands that he is always underestimating her cooking, but it was affecting her pride. Thus, Heidi takes it up as a challenge to impress Prince Kylos, and that in the end he'll beg her for another dish. Moreover, as Heidi is making chicken broth, she adds that the key to chicken broth is that the longer it boils, the more flavorful it becomes, and finally, her broth was ready, and now it was time for everyone to try it. Prince Kylos sits there, looking at the broth, when Prince tells her that he did not mean to ignore what he said earlier, to which Heidi says that she understands. Therefore, Heidi believed that the prince does not believe in her abilities, so she asks him if he would like to try her broth, and he tries it. Heidi found her own broth very delicious, even though she boiled it. It still was really delightful, and now she can't stop cooking, because the display with the food she made is the most delightful in the world. It looked like Prince Kylos ate it all too, but when she looked at it, it was untouched, which came as a surprise to Heidi. As she tried to figure out why, if she came to think of it, he was surprised to see ginseng in it. Is it because it's not familiar to him? And even the emperor had a good meal. Then why didn't the prince touch the bowl? She was extremely enraged by this. However, the prince informs her, after she is done eating, that the Earl of Seaton has already shown unusual behavior, so she shall be careful. Heidi lost all her sense of happiness as she heard about the Earl of Seaton, so the prince adds that it is very important for her to be in charge of the emperor's meals. Hence, now that she is in charge of cooking the banquet, they have no choice but to keep that side under control as well. When he found out, it seemed like a big deal, so she asks Prince Kylos if he was worried about her. Prince sits there expressionlessly and tells her that it is not like she thinks it is. He only told her as a reward for the food she cooks. This angered Heidi as he was rewarding her for the food he did not even touch, so he tells her that he is planning to eat it, and thus, he took a bite. So Heidi asks him if he liked it or not. According to him, it was delicious as well, and it sounded like his soul left his body. And she tells her again that he found it very delicious. Moreover, Heidi gets irritated and asks him to stop exaggerating. Moreover, Heidi adds that Prince Kylos is a very demanding client, and thus, they decide to wait and see next time. However, it looked like Heidi had cooked enough, and therefore she was alone in society. She is a flower of society before with many friends. But Heidi calls Prince naive for believing that those were her friends, because since she disputed, no one has come to visit her, which was not so supporting. Moreover, there was an entry of a new person, and everyone was confused about his identity. He had red hair, green eyes, and was dressed in a brown attire. At first, she thought he was a friend of the prince, but then Prince does not have any friends. The mysterious man teases her by saying that he was wondering what she was going to do after entering the imperial palace. But it turned out she was thinking about getting a class job and getting her hands dirty. This statement agitates Heidi as she says she does not care if he is a friend of the prince or not, since he is very annoying, and she was so tired that she just wanted to go back quickly and eat butter-roasted abalone. Then the man next to the mysterious man asks why isn't he letting her go, as her behavior is very arrogant. Even exchanging words with her would damage his reputation. Hence the mystery was solved. This person is Adelie Hyde-Seaton's ex-fiancé, Eli Gannett, the young Marquis. Eli asks his butler to not interfere. He starts to talk to Heidi that she still has not completely understood her situation, since she's expelled from the family and became a commoner, so she has no right to be so arrogant in front of him as he is the young Marquis. Suddenly, all her books fall down, as she wants to go back. This angers the Marquis, asking what books are these, and that she is trying to do dumb things again. And suddenly, in the middle of their conversation, Prince Kylos shows up. He asks the Marquis why he is here, and suddenly his tone changes as he is talking to the prince, so Heidi asks that, how is he talking so politely now? Eli bows down in front of the prince to pay his respects. Thus, the books that Heidi had were the ones she borrowed from the library. So Heidi tells the prince that she was gathering information about cooking in the library and heading to her room. As the emperor has ordered Heidi himself to prepare for the banquet, and this was the material that is necessary for her work, but the Marquis came in and interrupted. all the books were on the ground. So the prince asks him if he is a threat to their family. The Marquis completely disagrees. The prince had a hint that Miss knew that she worked her as a chef for the imperial family, and he continues to add that. But he did introduce the work of those over guard in the honor of the emperor. And does he know that the palace is not a playground for nobles? The Marquis apologizes. Hence, the prince tells him that if he's really sorry, then he would like for him to leave as he is completely blocking the hallway. The Marquis leaves, and this adds a big smile to Heidi's face. When the prince asks him what was she thinking when she was trying to deal with them alone, however, Heidi tells him that now none of that matters. And doesn't he want to eat roasted abalone with butter? The truth was that she thought Eli was annoying, so she wanted to face him, which is a natural thought for any human being. But the little Marquise group harassed her and ignored her, which was cruel and unfair, and the prince felt like punching him in the face. But the prince adds that it was a cruel but justifiable action, since now, when she is expelled by the count, she is a commoner, and therefore she must respect the Marquis. However, it had slipped Heidi's mind that social classes matter in this world. It was surprising that she had never thought about it, and thus, she will be careful in the future. The prince tells her that she has become someone he truly respects, and if nobles bother her in the future, she shall use his or the emperor's name to fend it off. Heidi was extremely happy that Prince Kylos wanted to help her, so she asks him if he would like to have roasted abalone with butter with her. The prince refuses, and adds that Heidi is an unpredictable person. The helpers in the kitchen ask Heidi if she would like to borrow some help for cutting vegetables as she is chopping through the vegetables. Hence, she agrees to get help, and the other servant tells her that she has got the figs she asked for, so Heidi asks her to bring her those figs. Heidi was proud to prepare the banquet, because they were imperial chefs. It was unfamiliar. They prepared it without hesitation, so she had a great time. She gives them a final demonstration as she tosses the vegetables. Everyone was deeply focusing on her. The butler shows up when Heidi tells him that they are busy preparing for the banquet. When the butler tells her that Count Macwood is calling for her, then suddenly Heidi is reminded that Count Macwood is one of the henchmen of Eli, and they must be calling her to bother her again. And this time she remembers what Prince told her to use him or the emperor to get rid of them. The butler was panting, and he called her lady, so she clarifies him that she is no longer a lady. Now she is a chef belonging to the imperial palace. So she asks the butler to tell the count that she is busy with preparing the banquet, and if they want to tell her something, they should come here in person, and it must be important to dedicate her work time to it. This statement angers the count. Moreover, Heidi was thinking of giving him a harsh warning for avenging Eli in front of the second prince, but, moreover, people murmur about how they are so excited to see what dishes will be served at the Majesty's banquet. But it is a shame that it won't be open these days, and she has been so excited since last night that she actually could not sleep well. The count shows up to those ladies, saying he is a bit concerned about the banquet food. As the chef of the banquet is a commoner, the count was determined to expose Heidi in front of everyone. The women there instantly got concerned, thinking, how can the emperor trust someone who is not qualified with such an important job? The count adds that she is not just unqualified, but she is also Adelheid Seaton. The woman defends the emperor and Heidi, saying they were sure that the emperor left her out of compassion because she is of humble origin, and the count was being very cruel. The count does not back off, and leaks further information that it is said that Miss Adelheid had business on the street with commoners while she dragged a dirty cart as she sold her great dessert for a couple of copper coins. Moreover, the count remarks that picking up a few coins does not make a difference from the vagabond. If this is not vulgar, then what does it mean? Miss Shizu was extremely disappointed to hear the count's views. Moreover, at the banquet, everyone is murmuring that Heidi came from a street, which is terrible. Some say if she wanted to make money, it would have been better for her to end up as a tutor. Moreover, the count's plan of humiliating Heidi seemed successful. Everyone was ill-talking about her, and the count adds that he is sure that the food will be terrible, and they all should throw it away. But Miss Shizu got extremely disappointed as she was really looking forward to this. Moreover, it looked like the first plate had already arrived. The count was adamant about making everyone believe that it will be bad, but as he looked at it, it looked delicious. Still, he continues to ridicule it, saying, "What is this pickled cucumber with water and dried figs? It is a very soft dish on the outside, but it has nothing else, and is as simple as Adelheid." Other people murmur that no matter how one sees it, it is a famous banquet hosted by the emperor. Hence the other lady adds that is it possible for common people to have that like a banquet. It is a horrible picture. Moreover, as the Count is about to take a bite, he keeps ridiculing the meal prepared by Heidi. As soon as he tastes it, he was extremely shocked, as it was not a regular pickled cucumber. It had a spicy flavor that stings the nose. It had a lemon and spicy flavor. Thus, it seemed delicious. The Count adds that it feels like a fresh flavor in your mouth, and he can believe that this is such a good appetizer. Moreover, Miss Shizu asks about the other aspect. It's so elegant and seems like a jewel. At first they all thought it was not a cucumber, but the Count is still not ready to give credit to Heidi, as he says that it might be the ingredients because they are good quality, which had made the dish taste better. Then he starts to critique the next appetizer, as he said that it is of brown and sticky material, and has a flour concentrate with fine soybeans like a powder, and therefore he believes that whatever it is, it must be reacting to something so unpleasant. But he takes a bite, and yet again he was swept across his feet. Again, he continues to lie, saying it's just some sticky thing and soft that goes down into your stomach, and the flavor is dominating his plate. The rest of the audience seemed extremely happy to have tasted it, as they ask each other if they knew what dish is this, and hence they all argue that there is no way that a salty and crunchy cucumber that lingers the taste in your mouth and so soft, and does a slice of the appetizer has vacant, such a deep appetite of the entire audience, and now they all tried to fix, and they were so pleased and clueless about how can the texture that explodes in your mouth be so pleasant, and they all thought with such a sweet aroma, the fix will fill the palate, and now they are raising their expectations for the next dishes as well. Moreover, the time had come for the main dish, which was the royal chicken soup. So everyone asks if this was the name the emperor gave the dish. They were all so shocked, as they were clueless about what kind of food is so honorable like this, and they all were extremely shocked, as they loved the soup. They commented that they can never get tired of its taste, even if they tasted several times. All of these statements made Heidi extremely happy. Moreover, the emperor adds that the dessert that comes at the end is the best. The dessert had a crisp, moist texture of the candied cream in layers. It has peach sauce, and the unique sweetness of the food gives it a warm flavor, as if it was in a garden. The emperor believed that it was a perfect ending to the banquet, and it was also good to entrust the dish to the banquet, and it seemed like everyone enjoyed the banquet enough. Thus, the emperor asks Rodolfo, his butler, to get something for him, and it turns out it was a thank you gift for Heidi. It was a beautiful badge of the Imperial Cuisine's exclusive Imperial chef. This brought tears to Heidi's eyes, as the emperor announces that Heidi, the chef in charge of placing this banquet, will be appointed as the emperor's exclusive chef. So he asks everyone if they had any objections to his decision. However, Miss Shizu points out that Count Macwood had completely cleaned the plate, and she teases him, saying that he must be very hungry after all the judging the banquet he does, and if he does not have greater density, he will not be able to accept Miss Heidi. Thus no disagreement came from anyone, so it seemed like all this was a success, as all the audience was so impressed with her cooking that they urged her that they all would love to try her cooking again if they got an opportunity to do so. The emperor gives her the badge, leaving her overwhelmed, as the fellow chefs tell her congratulations, and that even nobility cannot afford Miss Heidi as His Majesty's favorite chef, and they all ask her if she had time. They would like to know more about chicken soup. And suddenly, a strange man walks in, as he says that he also has one thing to say. This person was the emperor's former chef, and it is a little difficult for him to leave like this. He believed all this is very unfair. The former chef was upset to see Adele using his kitchen, as he felt that she took his place in the palace. He asked her how she could cook such tasty food. He told her that he was initially honored to become His Majesty's chief, but got really upset when he did not like his food. He started crying and told her that he could not understand what was wrong with his food. He also mentioned that he had forgotten his passion for cooking, so he respected her. He asked her if she could come there more often and give him some advice. Adele was shocked to hear what he was saying. All the other chefs said they also wanted to learn from her. They agreed and said they should all encourage each other. The former chef congratulated her. Adele gathered some books recommended by the chef to study the ingredients of that world. She was very happy to be a chef. Suddenly, she stepped on someone's hand and got really scared. She asked him if he was okay, and he told her that he was just suffering from malnutrition. Adele thought that he was some new official. She told him he had to eat well to treat malnutrition, but he said he could replace it with a thing that he took out of his pocket. He told her that it was the masterpiece of his life, and if you ate only this, you would not be hungry, even if you did not eat all day. Adele was really amazed and asked him if he did not have to eat anything else. He said that meals were messy, required a lot of work and cleaning, so they were the height of inefficiency. He believed that his invention would free humanity from the slavery of eating. He said he was planning to make it even smaller once his investigation was finished, and the profession of chefs would disappear from that world. Worried, thinking that the terrible experience of unemployment came suddenly, he asked Adele if she wanted to participate in his experiment. She angrily said that she was a chef. He told her that if she was interested in the research, she could come to the West Tower anytime. The guy seemed really suspicious to Adele. He introduced himself as Elliot Horton. She seemed to know that name. Although he never appeared directly in the novel, he was mentioned several times in the story. He was an alchemist genius who graduated from the Imperial Academy at the top of his class at the age of 16. He was given one of the towers of the Imperial Palace when he was 18. Adele thought that he could be dangerous. And what if he actually managed to investigate that strange food substitute? If it happened, all the chefs would lose their jobs. So Adele thought she could not let it happen. She asked him what his favorite food was, and he said it was an egg, as it is a great complete food. He said he tried all the dishes made with eggs for his investigation. Adele said that the flavor of knowledge was the most terrifying. She grabbed the eggs, put them in a pot, and set fire underneath. Elliot asked if it was going to take her long because he wanted to go back to his place, but Adele said she was already done. As she opened the lid, Elliot thought that it was gold. He asked if the egg mixture swelled in the pot. He asked her what it was. Adele told him that it was steamed egg. It preserved the aroma and moisture of the egg, so it tasted good and had a great texture. He was amazed to see the texture. As he took a bite, he said you could not call it food. Adele was angry to listen to this. Adele asked him what he meant and what it was. It was not cooking. He told her that it was alchemy. He said this was a perfect balance of flavors, created by combining only eggs, salt, and sugar. He said it was warm and fluffy, so no matter how many times he ate it, he could never get tired of it. And it was perfect. Elliot said it was amazing and asked if it would taste like that if someone else tried to do it. He said that a flavor could not be achieved unless it was calculated accurately and without committing errors in proportions. It was William after being created by a master of alchemy. He asked Adele to accept him as her disciple. She asked if he wanted to know how steam eggs were made, but he said he wanted to learn more fundamental things. It seemed to him that the absolute ratio of salt and sugar was added without measuring, but he was amazed. How could such a precise flavor be achieved? And you said she only added what her heart told her. She thought that he would not try to do anything bad if he was impressed with her cooking. She thought that he was the world's greatest public genius, so if she was friendly with him and got along with him, she could make some modern kitchen utensils. She thought that it would be burdensome to make him her disciple, but if it was a different relationship, she told him that she did not accept disciples and suggested him to become her partner. She also said that she was not interested in alchemy for a long time. She said that she used alchemy in her kitchen, so she would be very happy if she could receive help from a great alchemist like Elliot. He asked if she was talking about a joint investigation and said that it would be great. He said that he never conducted joint research when he was at the academy. He said that he would go to the tower and collect all the materials for the research, but Adele asked him to wait. Elliot struck up a sack of kitchen supplies on the floor and fell down. When he was asked, he told that he was fine, but his vision was poor because of the kitchen smoke. Adele found him really handsome. She thought that she needed to be nicer to Elliot. She looked at him and told him that he was her little handsome brother from now on. Elliot covered his face, saying that he knew he was very ugly. Adele told him that he was not ugly, and he was one of the most handsome men she had ever seen. He told Adele that she was a great person, but she didn't have to say such things to console him. As he got up, he apologized, as all the ingredients were spoiled. Adele thought that she had to brighten the atmosphere a little. She asked him if he could do her a favor related to the research. She said that it would be good to have a device that could freely control the intensity of the fire in the oven. However, Elliot said that he could not help her. She asked him if it was really difficult, and he told her that he tried several times but failed. He said that it was a fun analogy, but it couldn't be done without a dragon. Adele got frightened listening to the dragons. Later, a person went to the Count, and he asked if he was in charge of that place. The Count said that place smelled horrible. He said that normally it would not have been necessary to set foot in a place like that. He said that he never thought that girl would have such good talent. He asked the person to call his daughter Adele immediately. The Adele of the novel didn't realize that she was a mere pawn for her parents until the moment of her death. She went to the Count and asked if he had called her. He bowed down and apologized to her, expressing regret for having thrown her out like that. She started thinking that if she were the real Adele, would she have forgiven him for everything with that statement? However, she thought she wouldn't. She believed that the Count called her to the central corridor, where there were many people, for a public performance. He started crying, and said he had waited so long for her to return. Adele thought that if he had accepted her when she came back, the original Adele wouldn't have died. But if she reacted badly at that moment, Arya would once again be seen as an evil woman, and she couldn't allow that. She asked him if he would put her back on the family tree. He told her that a member of the Count's family couldn't serve as His Majesty's chef, so he probably wouldn't want that. She realized that he wouldn't add her to his family but call her home to use her as a pawn. She asked if she would never be a member of the Count's family again. The Count said that even if she never got on the family tree, everyone in the Empire would still know that she is their daughter. She thought that if that had happened a long time ago, there would be no need to come up with such an elaborate plot. Now that she thought about it, it wasn't really an opportunity for her, an opportunity to publicly annoy the Count. She said that it was not until she was expelled from the house that she realized what kind of a person she was. He told her that he was forced to do something about her, and he was dumb. Adele said that at that time, she only listened to her father's words and harassed Lady Sabrina. He said that at that moment he did what she told him and made Lady Sabrina look bad, and he was so immature. The Count asked her what she was talking about. She reminded him when he asked her to pour the wine on Sabrina's face for her father's honor. She asked him how her father was honored in that situation. But the Count argued that there were more than 10 people who witnessed her insolence that day. He asked her if she was blaming her father for something she had done herself. She said that the wine had a poison that caused inflammation in the skin, and asked where she could have gotten something like that in one day. She said she had heard that Miss Sabrina had been living in isolation because of the side effects, so she wanted to sincerely apologize to her. She suggested reinvestigating the wine case to reveal who exactly was behind it. The Count got angry listening to this. He asked her if she was asking him to put her back on the family tree. Adele asked him not to call her like that again, and he agreed. He warned her that she might be in the spotlight, but she was nothing more than a chef. If the line goes down, she should be prepared to have her tongue cut off. She needed the power to not feel threatened. She went to Kylos for help and explained everything to him. He told her that she had to contribute a merit equivalent to that of a triumphant general. As they were talking, a servant suddenly came in, saying that the dragon had disappeared. They both were shocked to hear this. Kylos asked him where the dragon had disappeared, and he told me about the Patian region. The Crown Prince went there on an expedition, and they still do not know when he will return. I asked him if he went by chance, and he said he was not very lucky. He asked Adele to come with him. As she followed him, she didn't know where they were. Kylos told me that it was the meeting room. Kylos couldn't understand why there was so much noise coming from inside. As he went inside, everyone was shocked to see him, and I asked if everyone was in too much hurry. I told everyone that we wouldn't discuss that event until His Majesty was in his seat. Suddenly, someone said that the Emperor had arrived. I asked everyone to sit down. As the Emperor saw her, he asked me if she was Adele. Kylos asked him why he was there. He said that it looked like there were signs of a flood and drought. He asked everyone if they agreed to get rid of the dragon, and everyone agreed. Adele was really shocked, as there was no dragon slayer mentioned in the original novel. We started discussing all the options we had. When we couldn't agree on one option, Kylos volunteered to go. He was skilled enough to become a dragon slayer. He asked the Emperor for a favor, requesting him to allow Chef Adele to go with him, and said that the expedition needed her strength. Adele was really shocked to hear this. As they walked away, Kylos said that she had a lot to say but wasn't saying anything. She said that the only knives she had ever owned were kitchen knives, a potato knife, and others like that, so she could just say /12 tapes when asked about the levels of taekwondo she had. I asked him if that would help him, and he said he would be totally deceived. He said that he had no intention of asking for her help, and asked her if she was considering it. He said that it was more efficient to kill the dragon with the people they had, but he was the only swordmaster of the Empire. Adele said that she was sure that in that meeting room, Kylos said that he needed her strength for the expedition. However, he told her that he wanted to take the chef for no reason. He asked Adele if she wanted to receive a degree for service. She said that she would write a historical story, and he should also accompany her. Kylos wasn't very excited, and said that their power would do it anyway, so all she had to do was come and stay in a safe place while he took care of the dragon. Adele thought that he might say it would be easy, but the reality was that there were only 3 hunters in the Empire, so it wasn't really easy to kill a dragon. He told Adele that they would leave tomorrow at dawn, and she agreed. At that point, She didn't know that this trap apparently would only bring surprising results. As they were on their way on a carrier, the coach told Kylos that the horses were tired, so it would be better if they camped there for the night. Kylos agreed and said they had to pitch up a tent. Adeli thought that the carriage wasn't comfortable in any way. Kylos got out and asked Adeli to give him her hand to help her get out. He told Adeli that they fortunately found a vacant land where they could stay for the night. He took her there and started a fire. Adeli asked him if they had to stay there until dawn. She said it was now her turn to lead. Kylos asked her if she got all the ingredients, as the luggage was not very big. She told him that she brought sticky glutinous rice, various homemade sauces, dried anchovies to make a tasty broth, and also a pot, knives, and pans. She said that she planned to source the main ingredients from the surrounding areas. She said that she had been noticing the smell of deodioc around there for a while. She told him that if she mixed it with a spicy and acidic mixture and cooked it until it was golden and crispy, then she could serve it with glutinous, delicious, and fragrant white rice. She could easily make 100 bowls. She thought if Kylos would like it. She didn't know if he didn't like it. He should eat dried meat instead. After a while, she went to find something for dinner. She told Kylos that it was not necessary for him to follow her. He told her that going alone in a place like that was dangerous. But she argued, saying that she won't go far anyway. She thought that the smell had become stronger, so it had to be around somewhere. Suddenly, as she crossed some bushes, she found it. She thought it would be better if she had a shovel. Kylos came and stopped her, asking what she was doing. He told her that she was staining her hands with dust, and asked if she was not supposed to do it. She told him that she had to dig out the root, as the roots were fragrant and delicious. She thought that he worried about her getting her hands dirty and asked him to release her hand. Suddenly, they both felt an earthquake, and Adeli got really frightened and hugged Kylos. He asked her if she was scared. As the earthquake settled, she said that the prince did it. He said that he just lightly applied a sword technique. Kylos asked what she would do if her precious hands got hurt. Adeli started blushing as she heard it. She thought that she already had cuts and burns on her hands because of cooking. Kylos pulled her closer and told her that her hands were beautiful. He got down and started picking the roots. Adeli felt a little embarrassed, as it was the first time she heard something like that. The ingredients were ready, and Adeli was worried that just grilled deodioc would be a bit disappointing. Deer were still edible mushrooms. She thought that a mushroom broth would be perfect. Kylos came in asking for help, but she said he had already helped her pick the roots. She said that she was worried, disturbing a sword master like him. Kylos told her that she was the only one who worried about the well-being of a sword master. She said that he was going to fight a dragon, so he had to be in his best physical condition. She told him that it was not this sword master that she was worried about, but the prince, and asked him to eat properly. Kylos said that he would do the best he could. With complete dedication, Adeli made the food. She thought that it was a bit disappointing that there was no sesame oil and wondered where she could get red pepper paste from. She called Kylos and told him that it was time to eat. It was a meal of roasted wild vegetables in an instant, so Kylos thought that it must be delicious. Adeli said that it was her perfect dish of wild vegetables and asked him to eat it quickly before it cooled. He came in and asked if they could eat together, and Kylos agreed. As she tasted it, Adeli thought that it was delicious. There was a natural taste that came from well-cooked rice and a fantastic combination of extra spicy grilled deodioc. There was also a mushroom casserole with green onions and various champignons. Adeli thought that she made it herself, but it was so delicious. The coach said that these were the dishes he had never seen before, but they were so delicious. Adeli asked Kylos how he felt. He wanted to say something, but he said it was delicious. Adeli started thinking how he could not be satisfied even after eating that light and delicious chewy mushroom casserole. She thought that the prince was too calm. He told Adeli that he had a favor to ask her. He asked her not to prepare his foods from then on. She got really upset and almost started crying, saying that the food was not that good. Kylos said that it was not her fault. It was just that he felt like he couldn't really taste the food. He said that no matter what he ate, it didn't taste good. Adeli didn't know what to do. Adeli apologized and said she annoyed him so much, but she didn't know. Dom said that it had never been a bother. If it was the same, it doesn't matter what he ate. It was better to eat her food. But there was a lot of food left. She asked him if he was telling the truth. He could still eat her food. Adeli said that she could prepare the food that he could eat, and if he couldn't eat a lot, at least she would provide him with nutritional supplements. She said that she had a fashion to do a lot, so she was used to having leftover food. However, it looked to her like a waste. Since they were outside, they couldn't store it anywhere. Suddenly, Kylos heard a noise and picked out his sword. But it was just a fox. Adeli thought that it was really cute. She asked if it was attracted by the smell of food, and thought that it must be hungry. Kylos warned her to be careful as it was a wild animal and could attack suddenly. She said that they were probably aiming at the mushroom casserole instead of them. She asked the fox if it wanted to try it, and sure enough, it started eating. She said that she would give it everything they had, and they would all eat until it is satisfied. Suddenly, the fox made a noise and called its family. Adele looked at them eating the food and thought that she could use her cooking skills on animals as well. She thought that foxes were better than people. After eating the food, all the foxes left, and Adele asked them to return the favor. Kylos said that it was the first time he saw a fox like that. Adele said that it seemed like he had what he was saying. Since the port was empty, Adele thought that she could clean it after a while and rest. Later, Kylos thought that the speed at which the dragon was expanding its power was faster than expected. As Adele looked out of the window, she saw fire all around and asked what it was. She got really frightened and asked if it was all done by the dragon. Adele asked if all the damage was made by a dragon. Kylos said that it appeared to be a pretty old dragon, as it was able to use its power so strongly. The ground was dry and cracked, as if there had been a long drought. It seemed that the life that was there had disappeared in the flames. Adele thought that a thing that turned that vast land into a place where living began could not perish in an instant, so it was really dangerous. It was all the power of the dragon. She wondered if it was truly powerful. Kylos told Adele that she had worked hard until then, but he had to go alone from there. Kylos told her that the dragon would be near, and it would take about 3 days at most. Although it might be a little uncomfortable, she must stay there and wait for him. Adele said that a dragon strong enough to shape the earth that way could harm the prince. Kylos interrupted and said nothing would happen to him if he handled the dragons well, so she had to stop worrying about him. He asked her to trust him and wait there. Adele asked him to promise her to be careful. She also asked him to promise that he would return safe and healthy. He told her that she had a lot of requests. He still promised and asked her to take care of herself. As Kylos walked, he realized that the rate at which the fire progressed on Earth was definitely fast. At that rate, even if he killed the dragon, it would take a long time to recover what was lost. He crossed the fire and the fumes and confronted the dragon. As the dragon saw him, it started roaring, and Kylos got a little frightened. He thought that if it was that size and had blue eyes, then it had armor. His wings were also huge, and with the dazzling silver and blue light, it gave an intimidating feeling that would overwhelm anyone. It was the only dragon that caused Spanish comment to those who saw it. It was the defender of the empire, the Dragon King. He asked the dragon to let him know whatever it wanted. Then the whole empire would join forces, and somehow, the dragon said that it had lived too long to wait for something, and life was just boring for him. He asked Kylos to kill him, and said he knew that he was more than capable of putting a sword to his throat. He said that if Kylos killed him, all the wealth he had accumulated would be his. That would be enough to leave that dead land and begin a new nation for himself. He asked him to end his boring life. As Kylos looked at the dragon, he said he knew that look, those intense eyes that reflected a soul burning and pessimistic about life. He had forgotten what he once loved, waiting day after day for the day when he was out of energy. His father thought of letting him know the fact that life was not cheerful. He asked the dragon if it wanted to try the dish prepared by Adele. Kylos told the dragon that her skills as a chef were unmatched in the entire empire. He told him that she would definitely cook him a dish he had never tasted before. The dragon asked if he meant food. Kylos swore on his honor that it was exactly like what he was saying. He told him that if he tried that dish, his apathy would completely disappear because of Adele's food. Even Kylos, someone who was not particularly interested in food, would look forward to what would come next. The possibilities in flavor and aroma couldn't help but make him curious. The dragon found it interesting. He asked them to take a guess about how many dishes he had tried. He said that among them, there were several delicacies that he couldn't even imagine, and it was the same for that cook. Kylos told him about the Dragon King and asked if he had tried chicken soup made with the whole chicken. He told him that the broth was thick, but the meat was very soft. The dragon asked him how it was different from a common soup. Kylos told him that by boiling it for a long time, as soon as you touch it with your cutlery, the meat and bone would easily separate. He said that the chicken was stuffed with chestnuts and fluffy rice, and when combined with the broth, it was an exclusive flavor. He told the dragon that not long ago, she made a sweet and spicy dish using aromatic roots. Every time you took a bite, the unique aroma and the sweet, stimulated by the spicy taste, flooded the diner's mouth. The dragon thought that the boy's descriptions were too good. He asked him to describe more about that food. Kylos thought that it was not like he could do it, but at least he was able to eat enough to describe it like that. He thought that those flavors didn't seem to sound as good as they tasted. The dragon asked him if he was not going to continue. He said that it would be faster if he tried it on his own, and said that his chef was not too far, and he could bring her right away. The dragon said that his description from a moment ago intrigued him, but asked him if it was just his opinion that she was the best chef in the empire. He asked Kylos how he could be sure if she really was the best chef in the empire, or he was just in love with her. Kylos told him that he was not in love with her, and she was simply the best chef in the empire. He told the dragon that if he tried that dish at least once, he was sure the dragon would be convinced. The dragon said that he was left with no choice, and Kylos was too stubborn. He asked Kylos that if he didn't want to fight hard, wouldn't he like to make a bet? He said that there were very few who could end his life independently out of his will, and if the person who met the conditions was a son of Oberon, it was something they would only call fate. The dragon agreed to try that dish. He said that if he didn't like the dish, Kylos would immediately have to take the responsibility and face the world to end his life. Adele thought that Kylos was gone for 2 days and hoped he was okay. Suddenly, she saw Kylos coming to her. She made sure that he was not hurt. He told Adele that he had recommended her to the Dragon King, and she thought if the dragon was going to eat her. However, Kylos explained the story and everything that happened there. The dragon had told him that he had a condition that Adele must be the best chef recognized by the entire nation, not just in his personal opinion. Adele thought if it was a cooking contest, she said that if she won the competition, she would receive the title of best chef of the empire, and she would be able to calm the Dragon King, and she would receive a title. She thanked Kylos for the opportunity that was given to her. She got over Kylos and said she also wanted to say something else.